Research pioneer Andrew Ng just built an incredible AI simulator. This is a visual of what might happen to the planet if we put aerosol injections into the sky to reduce global warming. Robot dogs just got 12% more scary. Yeah, that thing could easily outrun Usain Bolt, so get ready for it.
We move closer to the future of robotics.
Whitney Cummings questions if AI could make TikTok continue to exist without humans, and the honest truth is we probably could have that world. I'm not sure I'd bet on it, but I'm not sure I'd bet against it either. Once again, the AI that stands for Apple Intelligent is making Genmojis that are a little more risque than the Apple brand would like. It's hard to fine-tune your way out of creative prompting. Some closed-doors briefings between the US government and the top AI CEOs is troubling slash fascinating slash, oh, what does this mean? AI has triumphed over Venom, like literally snake venom. Next time you see a rattlesnake on a hike, you can just look at him and be like, dude, I got AI on my side. I'll be fine. No more snake intimidation. The Replit CEO says he doesn't care about professional coders anymore. Researchers at Berkeley have some fascinating new research about how they learned how GPT models learn. There's a new AI model that can enhance images that were taken underwater so you can like see way further, and there's crazy stuff in the ocean it's discovering. Colorizing manga sketch art is now way better than it's ever been before. But I would love to colorize all the black and white Calvin and Hobbes comics I have over there on the shelf. On his way out, President Biden recommended that we all take notice of the rise of, quote, a tech industrial complex. Darius Jamalnik recommends a fourth law of robotics to go on top of Isaac Asimov's first three. And Jay Poole reflects on a philosophical and ethical perspective on artificial superintelligence. Let's get into it, but first, support this channel. Go to patreon.com/DylanCurious. My goal right now is to get to $200 a month, so we can maybe get to 100 members. We're at 81 right now. All right, this is our planet without, I guess, chemical aerosols being sprayed into the atmosphere to lower the temperature that comes from global warming. All right, so admittedly, I don't really think it seems like a good idea on paper to put stratospheric aerosol injections. Is it a chemical? Is that healthy? I don't know. On the other hand, if we're already putting a bunch of crap up into the sky, maybe we need to put more crap up in the sky to balance it out. So Andrew Ng uses his incredible artificial intelligence knowledge to help policymakers better understand and visualize what will happen to the planet when we start injecting all that stuff into the air. So you get to play with these sliders and it changes the graph. You get before planet overheating and then after planet looks still inhabitable. And ultimately it just makes me wonder if geoengineering is the future at all. But look, if geoengineering doesn't work, robots like this can run from shelter to shelter at new incredible speeds. This new Black Panther robotic dog runs 100 meters in under 10 seconds. And you can see the comment section is ecstatic. He can fetch me a beer in half the time. Only 36 kilometers per hour. I expected more. Black Mirror me, right? Oh, hell nah. Speed more than just velocity. All right, listen, you should really give comedian Whitney Cummings a second to digest this thought.
Like, am I making sense? Like, they've collected all the data on how we talk and how we move, and like, they might not even need us at this point. And they don't have to pay AI generated influencers or comedians or anybody. No. What's wrong with humans that we just cannot read a terms of service sheet? Like, I won't. There's nothing you can do to make me read the terms of service. That is how much we cannot be bored. It is truly amazing.
No, listen, hear me out for a second, because it's not, it would never happen, but like from a movie, I mean, it might happen, but from a movie point of view, imagine this. The US cuts off TikTok, right? They just take every existing profile and continue it with an AI avatar. Maybe all the profiles look a little weird at first, but you know, they over in the next year or two become pretty much hyper-human realistic avatars. And then everybody in China and other countries is looking at this as America. But the algorithm tweaks it a little bit so that like it's just a different reality, like a reality that fits their narrative about what's happening in America. And there is like the real American profiles that we have, but there's also this like alternate version, and it's hard to tell which one's the real reality. And some portion of the world's population would definitely believe the fake one. Could you imagine like how messed up, like how untruthful everything will be. The world could be flooded with garbage. And we're all going to have international doppelgangers that just say a bunch of stuff that like we have no idea what it is. This guy made an Apple Genmoji that looks a lot like a lighter and cocaine, I think. Pretty sure that wasn't Apple Intelligent's intention when it started. The eggplant emoji is getting used in inappropriate ways. All right, so kind of in this speculative realm here, but just because I've been like having my thumb on the pulse of the AI scene for a while, I feel like this is kind of legit. I mean, look, what we're dealing with here is some closed door meetings with the US government and the top AI people. There's plenty of reasons, from like just military to how the technology will change the world to the way it can like influence politics. They might want meetings. But as Axios tries to read between the lines, a super agent breakthrough could push generative AI from a fun, cool, aspirational tool to a true replacement for human workers under the next 4 years of President Trump. That will be so disruptive. And I think it will kind of happen. I mean, it might sort of be exponential where like basically the 4th year of his presidency is when like everything really gets crazy. But then you throw in stuff like this. Axios says, our sources in the US government and leading AI companies tell us that in recent months, the leading companies have been exceeding projections in AI advancements. Is there a GPT-5 on the servers somewhere that OpenAI and Microsoft have access to? Does that thing seem like it might be trying to break out, or might be uncontrollable, or might be so powerful for whoever releases it that they can essentially control big swaths of the economy? Several OpenAI staff have been telling friends that they are both jazzed and spooked by the recent progress. Outgoing White House National Security Advisor with security clearance for the nation's biggest secrets believes that the next few years will determine whether AI advancements end in, quote, catastrophe. But one thing AI is going to make it so that we don't have to worry about as much in the future: snake bites. I mean, they're still gonna hurt and scare you, but the Venom part might be handleable now. SciTech Daily says, AI triumphs over Venom. Revolutionary snakebite antidotes unveiled. Venomous snake bites affect about 2.7 million people annually, resulting in 100,000 deaths each year. 3 times as many get permanent disabilities, such as amputations. But now, thanks to researchers in Denmark, deep learning tools have been used to design new proteins that bind to and neutralize toxins from deadly cobras. And so far, the AI-generated molecule provides full protection from lethal doses of 3-finger toxins in mice, 80 to 100% survival rate depending on the exact dose, toxin, and designed protein. The Replit CEO says, we're pretty much done caring about people who have the skill of coding. Seems a little early to me, but I'm trying to be open to how fast everything has changed. So their CEO said that their company and many more in the future should be soon shifting away from professional coders. It is time to empower everyday users with AI tools, likening this shift from the transition from complex MS-DOS commands to user-friendly interfaces like Windows, which means coding, which seems so much different than art. Which I guess just catches my imagination differently, because writing poetry, writing stories, writing code, making paintings, generating, 3D art, is this all getting replaced this year? Maybe self-driving cars in the next couple years, next few years? So much of the country does so many of these jobs. It's just unexpectedly fast, I guess. Your PlayStation controller can now predict which button you're going to press before you press it. I know, I kid you not. PlayStation introduces predictive AI for faster and smarter gameplay. I'm just thinking, like, what is playing a video game if you go to press the button and it pressed it for you? Like, don't take away my buttons, It's like the Jetsons. You have to have, like, at least one button to press. PlayStation is stepping up its game with a new AI system that predicts what button you'll press next, thanks to cameras that analyze how you play. Okay, so cameras watch how you play the game. They start to predict where your thumb's going to go based on what's on the screen. Now, first off, this makes me think the controller could just play without you if you wanted, and you could watch, like on Twitch, your controller that would normally be you playing it, and you could be just exactly as good as the real you would be without having to, press the buttons. You can just sit there and consume. They say in the article that you can think of it like AI being your psychic gaming buddy, predicting your moves and eliminating that annoying lag between input and action. Have you been annoyed at the lag between your thumb? I don't know. They claim it's a big win for competitive players where timing is everything. Literally sounds like cheating to me, but whatever. Plus, it doubles as a safety net during internet hiccups by completing interrupted commands for you. Oh, your internet goes out and it's just like, oh, I'll just take over until your internet's back. That's kind of interesting. Imagine like Zoom meetings or video conferences where like the internet lags, but it just kind of continues and says what it thinks you would have said anyways, and then you come back. So while it's still in the development phase, PlayStation promises a faster, smoother, and smarter gaming experience in the future. So there's some research coming out of Berkeley. It is called How GPT Learns Layer by Layer. All right, so they were looking at a very special AI model. It was called Othello GPT. Othello is a game. I think it's kind of like Go. It's a little bit like chess, I guess. But the point is, it's a game, and it learned to represent the world of the game board layer by layer during training. And because it has really clear rules and strategies, the authors were able to analyze how the model built its internal representations of the board states. And this seems to be teaching us a lot about how these systems learn in general. They found that, you remember the neural network, like all those little nodes and edges connected like deep into the layers. Those first layers, the ones that basically saw the game board or they were just a few neurons back, they would focus on static elements. The board shapes, the squares, the circles, stuff like that. And then as it moved up, the deeper layers started to grasp more complex dynamics like gameplay strategies and tie stability. And because it's a relatively simple game, they were also able to make a special type of model. This is called a sparse encoder. And this means that those like virtual neurons aren't connected to lots and lots of neighbors. They're only going to learn one kind of idea per layer, but you can make a bunch more layers. And that gives you a real sense of like what happens on that layer. Whereas like a more complex model with billions of parameters and the whole internet that it's trained on, every little dial is holding little bits of information from all sorts of concepts. It's kind of like, if you remember, we talked about the Golden Gate neuron, my favorite paper of 2024, and how that was a sparse encoder. Doing this, they were able to reveal details about what it learned in the game, disentangled features, and linear probes, which highlighted straightforward classification patterns. And the study concluded that there are different layers that specialize in distinct tasks, and it's more dense in the huge large language models that we have now. But if you made it sparse enough and separated it enough, you could probably see everything that you or I have ever learned as its own encoded feature. And that's so interesting to think about. All right, I hope you're ready to experience underwater images like never before, thanks to artificial intelligence. It's funny, I've never really thought about this use case, but there's tons of times we've looked at kind of blurry images like the X-ray one from a couple weeks ago, the kind of fMRI data they get when they're trying to scan your thoughts while you sleep. Looking for small little dots that represent the beginning of cancer in those huge MRI data sets. But enhancing underwater images, because it just, when you're deep down underwater, you have to have all this light and it's like super foggy is what it feels like. You can't see very far. Why not use AI to look further into the water? Normally, underwater pictures are a mess with weird colors, blurriness, low light, low contrast, makes them hard to analyze. But what we really needed is like a good data set. What you would see in clear water, and then a photo of what you see in like dirty, murky, under deep water images, and then teach it to extrapolate from that. And then they did that, and they used this really clever technique that models uncertainty and generates a diverse reference map for each of those photos. And here's some examples of the images. Like, I don't know, it's like X-ray vision kind of, but for water. Then on top of that, they used another model that builds up fancy blocks, which are called probabilistic adaptive instance normalization. And it really makes those underwater images pop, wouldn't you say? By leaning into uncertainty and generating multiple plausible enhancements, this new model mirrors the way human vision adapts to murky water and is also a step towards making models that work more like humans. Oh my gosh, this magic ninja line art colorization with precise reference following is something I really wish I had in high school. I wasn't really like a good artist, but I did really enjoy my art class and especially like sketching with pencil, but I never colored it. It would have been so fun to just like take a photograph of it, drop it in this model, and like paint it, you know, let the model color up my images. All right, so this is not just like a click and done kind of a tool. It uses a smart combination of the reference image and point-based controls to make sure that colors align perfectly with the original art. Now, what's unique about this model that we haven't seen in any of these other colorization systems is they built a thing called the patch shuffling system, and it helps the AI focus on smaller details and match colors locally, not just globally. Okay, so see, for example, how you can click on the face, bring it over here, but then the hand automatically gets colored also. It's because it's learned that faces and hands are a thing. It's a skin color. It's not like fill in the lines, like the way you would normally think a tool like this might work. If you touch somebody's hair over here and pick that color out and put it here, it's gonna recognize the depth of how hair could be. It's gonna have a much deeper sense. It's an AI model that has learned about lots and lots of hair that has been colored from similar models. My guess is it's picked up, some of the neurons in this model have picked up on the fact that this is the inner part of his jacket folded over and this is the outer part. So if you picked from here and pressed here, it would just know. So it's like learned certain qualities or physics about animation that make it so much different, but also precise. It's not just like a diffusion model where you hope you get something. So the authors say that it works really well with super tricky cases like extreme poses, missing details, or multiple reference images. And they've also created a benchmark to just show how good it is and how it outperforms in both quality and consistency with other tools compared to other tools. All right, Joe Biden, in his farewell address, he says that AI might be the most consequential technology of all time. All right, that's true.
Work and how we protect our nation. We must make sure AI is safe and trustworthy and good for all humankind. In the age of AI, it's more important than ever that the people must govern. And as the land of liberty, America, not China, must lead the world in the development of AI.
Yeah, how do we make it so that all citizens have skin in the game? All citizens of the world are equally invested in a technology like this? It's a really tough problem, which I don't really see an answer to. Not saying there isn't one, or that maybe some others this does work out well, but it's tricky when it's so powerful and it's not innately aligned with everyone's best interest as we build it. Maybe proposing a fourth law of robotics will help us out. Darius Jamelnik wrote in IEEE Spectrum, Asimov's law of robotics needs an update for AI, proposing a fourth law of robotics. Okay, so you've probably seen enough movies, or you're like into robotics enough if you're watching this channel to know the first three rules. Robots can't injure humans. Robots must obey orders by humans, except when it conflicts with the first law. And a robot must protect its own existence as long as it doesn't conflict with the first two laws. Now, the first three were all about preventing robots from physically harming humans or disobeying commands. But with the modern version of artificial intelligence not like hurting people physically, instead, it seems like the concern is deceiving us with deepfakes, fake identities, scams, the potential to generate misinformation. You know what I mean? Imagine people that are forming these like emotional bonds, or they're getting phone calls with like fake voices and they're getting scammed out of money. Kind of seems like we need a robotics law like that. So he suggests that the fourth law of robotics be this: a robot or AI must not deceive a human by impersonating a human being. Let me know in the comments below if you think that's a good fourth law to add. Would Isaac Asimov actually added that if he knew what the world was like today when he wrote those books? All right, Jay Poole wrote Living Intelligence, a philosophical and ethical perspective on artificial superintelligence. I mean, look at this friendly guy just getting smarter, learning something on this tablet, his little robot companion over there pointing to what to look at. All right, so his thoughts are that instead of calling it artificial superintelligence, like something that is just like a PhD, but even smarter and we can't understand it, we should just frame this whole kind of slope of intelligence that's developing around us as living intelligence. So instead of focusing on dominance and the risks that come along with it, what if we highlight AI's adaptability, its growth, its collaborative potential, and make it feel more like a partner that's growing alongside us than a tool? I mean, arguably I think alien intelligence works a lot better than artificial intelligence. I think alternative intelligence works a lot too, because right now we think of it as only stuff that can really be in neurons. And I guess I kind of like it. Living intelligence sort of makes sense to me. I mean, Poole argues that this shift could help us approach AI development with a focus on coexistence and mutual benefit, which would be great. It also kind of comes with the philosophical questions about life, intelligence, and moral responsibility. By calling it living intelligence instead of artificial, it does kind of like urge us to act more like stewards, taking care of a baby animal even. It would be different, and it should be probably closer to what we're doing now. Even though it feels digital and not real, it really is kind of real. I mean, it's evolving like in a biological way, even though it's not biological. Anyways, it just seems like a way to maybe keep ethics and accountability more at the forefront. Interesting point. Living intelligence, I'm down. The fellow AI YouTuber Olivio Sarkis, he put a 2D race car into this forest, then right-clicked and clicked on this, convert to 3D. I've seen a lot of this stuff in research papers. I didn't really know there was like a tool that you could just use like this. So now we can just position the car in 3D space, even though everything was just 2D a few seconds ago. And you can add a prompt, say like turn it from this like sports car into a luxury car. Plus, I just love how fast that real-time render is. It like just changes the way you could create an image. And you know that's going to be possible in 3D really soon, and you can experience it in like the Apple Vision Pro. So you want to support this channel, hit that join button on YouTube right down there in the bottom left. Or come over here, patreon.com/DylanCurious. Become a member. It's okay if you don't want to spend any money. Just make a comment if you wouldn't mind. Hit subscribe. Maybe share with a friend. If you see anything useful, you can clip it. All that stuff helps the algo. Normally, I end my videos by taking some comments from my last video and then turning them into a song. But